for tonight's purposes, since I am on in private capacity, please just call me Pete.
I will find that uncomfortable to do so, and so I'll try to awkwardly avoid calling you anything. Let me ask you about, personally, what these last few days have been like for you. Obviously, you ran for president yourself in 2020. You're a member of the president's cabinet. You have since endorsed Vice President Harris in her presidential bid, since the president has said that he endorses her as well. What has your few days been like, and how are you feeling tonight?
It's been an extraordinary few days. I was actually on a plane, maybe fittingly enough. Chasten and I were making our way back home to Michigan after appearing with Vice President Harris on Saturday for a fundraiser to support the Biden-Harris ticket in Massachusetts. And like everybody, stunned by the news and really moved to see the president do what he's done time and time again, which is to put our country first. I think it's really important to note just how world historically rare it is for the most powerful person in the world to set aside that power. That has only happened a handful of times, especially doing it in the interest of the country and in the interest of the party. And at the same time, making clear that he's going to keep doing his job as president, leading what has already been established as one of the most productive and one of the most beneficial presidencies in American history. And was then moved even more to see him support Vice President Harris. I reached out to her yesterday afternoon and wanted to let her know right away that I was going to do the same. We had a great conversation. You know, I have campaigned alongside her. I have traveled with her. I have served with her. And she's going to be an extraordinary leader for the ticket, for the party, and for the country as president.
Having that kind of relationship with Vice President Harris, as a member of the cabinet yourself, somebody who has come up in a somewhat parallel fashion with her in the last few years in the Democratic Party, both very well regarded in your runs for president in 2020 and a nomination that was ultimately won by President Biden, who went on to win in the general. Do you have anything to sort of explain to the country, to explain to our viewers about what to expect that will be different from a campaign led by Vice President Harris as opposed to the campaign that we were seeing from President Biden? Obviously, they're good partners to one another and very unified in this moment. Their expressions of sort of mutual appreciation, mutual love today, I think, put that in a very emotional terms. But how should we expect this campaign to be different with her at the helm?
Well, I think we're certainly going to see consistency in terms of the values and the direction. Obviously, she has been a part of this historically effective administration. You're going to continue to see a focus on making sure that government is working and taking the side of people like my neighbors in Michigan, people trying to get through their lives. She had a strong emphasis on the middle class in her comments at headquarters in Wilmington today, coupled with a continued focus on making sure that we don't allow somebody like Donald Trump, who has always acted to favor wealthy people like him, to say nothing of the threat to democracy, making sure that case is made. What's different, I think, is of course, a different messenger, a different leader, one who has worked closely with President Biden, has a lot of consistency with President Biden, but she represents a different generation. She represents a different style. We heard her talk about how, in her background as a prosecutor, part of what she did was defend the public from people who ran scams at for-profit universities, people who were responsible for sexual assaults. In other words, people like Donald Trump. And at the same time, we heard this positive vision, this really energizing vision. You could see it. You know, we happen to have the TV on in our kitchen as she addressed the campaign staff in Wilmington. It was just as we were putting the mac and cheese out for our son and daughter, and it was amazing when my daughter, who's about to be 3, pointed to the TV and said, "What's that?" I just felt goosebumps as I heard myself saying, "That's Kamala Harris, and she's going to be the next president."
When you endorsed Vice President Harris, you said you'd do all you can to help her win. Would you serve as her vice president if she asked you to?
She's going to make that decision. She's going to do it based on what's best for the country, best for the party, and best for the ticket. I will do everything in my power to make sure that she is the next president, because it's so important. And it's really most of all important in terms of how everyday life is going to change. I think another really important thing that will come of the president's extraordinary decision and sacrifice that he made is an opportunity to really refocus this campaign on what it means for people around America. Of course, we're going to talk about Kamala Harris and her extraordinary leadership. We're going to talk about Donald Trump and his unfitness for office, and JD Vance and his inability to show any evidence that he believes in anything in any durable way. But honestly, most of this campaign will not be about them. It'll be about the American people. And this is a chance to really bring that home. I'm excited to be out there on the trail whenever there's an opportunity to remind people of that and remind people that they already agree with Kamala Harris and Democrats and disagree with Donald Trump and Republicans on issue after issue after issue, from taxes to gun safety to a woman's right to choose.
I don't mean to be weird, and this started off weird with you asking me to call you Pete, and I can't, and that's weird itself. But if she asked, are you saying you wouldn't say no?
Sure. We're just not in that mode right now. You know, we're on the second day since the president made his decision, and I trust her. By the way, few people in the country know more about the vice presidency and about the weight of that decision than she does. Very much trust her to make a choice that makes sense to her, that is right for the party, and that's right for the country.
Pete Buttigieg, I really appreciate you being here tonight, sir. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.